Terror has once again gripped the land of Ogmore. Demons, monsters, and goblins have been surfacing from the darkest places of the world. In order to bring peace once again, Ogmore needs heroes. Light emanates from the tunnel entrance in front of you. The time is now to enter the dungeon.
Tiny Epic Dungeons is a cooperative and quick-playing roguelike dungeon crawler for 1 to 4 players.
Hi everybody, my name is Harry Jacobs and I am the North of 60 Gamer, and welcome to my show today. Today I'm very excited. I just got a Kickstarter and I have been waiting for this Kickstarter because this is one of the games I am definitely taking on to my Greek cruise and my vacation, and it is one of my favorite designers and publishers, Scott Elms from Gameland Games, and we're going to show you Tiny Epic Dungeons with the expansions. So we're going to go down to the table. We are going to do a dungeon dive, and I am so excited. I do love these Tiny Epics, basically because of the footprint. They are tiny and small, and I'm hoping this one is available that I can actually maybe play on a little desk or a table. If you've ever been on a cruise, you know how small those rooms are. So there is not a lot of room to play games. There is a games room, however, and the last time I went on, I took a Tiny Epic Zombies with me. That takes up a lot of table space, actually, some of these Tiny Epic games. So I'm hoping this takes up a smaller amount of space. Certainly, I don't know if everything's going to fit back in the box because I have the expansion. So let's go down, take a look, get this organized, get it set up. Let's get playing. I'm ready to rock and roll today. It is this afternoon. I don't usually tape in the afternoon, but I was so excited about getting this game in. I just couldn't wait to get it to the table. So let's get down. Let's get going. So here we go. Here are the boxes down on the table. This is what came in the box. I did not buy the mat. It was heartbreaking to try to decide whether I wanted a mat or not, but generally I don't use the neoprene mats, mainly because of just space. Now in here I probably could use the neoprene mat, but I decided against it. Now that doesn't mean that I won't buy this later. I will be suffering along with the neoprene mat without this particular one. But I do have a neoprene mat. There it is right there, and it's got a little logo on there, and I can show you that later on. Somewhere in this room is my North of 60 Gaming player mat, which is a little smaller and gray, and I have no idea. You're gonna have to excuse the shadows. It's just some weird thing is going on with my lighting, and I've been trying to get rid of shadows all day, and it's just not working for me. So excuse some of the shadows. I'm going to be out of this space eventually. This room is so tiny that light bounces and it's coming in through the window, and I got 2 light stands, and I had another light stand to try to sort of get rid of the shadows, but you can see over here that I was not 100% successful, and I may try to adjust the lighting before we play again. But for now, we're just going to suffer along, and we're going to open these boxes. We can look at the back. It really doesn't offer much to show you except a little description here. And we're going to open this up. I don't think I'm going to try to read that little. And here is the more stories. So I'm very interested in this. And this is cool. These boss meeples. Look at these. These little wooden screen bits of the bosses. Let's get this open and take a look at the components. So let's open the box if we can. You know how I love to struggle with these boxes. I cheated. I already had started the corner just so that I don't embarrass myself in front of everybody here today. Of course, there is really nobody here. My room is really too small. Don't mind the odd piece of fluff, but you can see these little white strands. I have 3 huskies in the house right now. 2 of them are white and they're my own, and then I have a little husky cross living with us, and she is going off to her new home on Thursday down south to, I think, Calgary or Edmonton. So that'll be 1 husky dog gone, and I wanted to adopt her, but unfortunately just too busy in vacation and all that stuff, and my wife said no. Well, inside the lid looks like a little dice tray, which looks kind of nice. I have other dice trays too. Rules on top. These are looks like we have some monster, looks like some promo type stuff. Let's just take a look at what we got here. So we've got some other meeple-y things. So this is the Potions and Pearl. So it looks like we have 2 new monsters. And this is the Leash. And this is the Demon Lord. Ooh, I'm frightened already. And we have some cards here as well. I'm not sure what size they are. I think these are 70 by 70. And if so, I have sleeves for them. And it looks like we have some new tiles. And we've got some new stuff. Potions, I think. Let's see what else is in the box. Look at all the... Now, these are... We're away from the meeples. And in the miniatures. Oh, this is marvelous. Look at that. All these miniatures for these characters that we're going to be playing. We have more wooden meeples as opposed to the plastic meeples. These are all, I think, the minions and monsters, the goblins. You can see a goblin sitting right there. And we'll look more at these and closer at them once I organize them. We have the various cards. Again, I think they're 70 by 70. I am not 100% sure. God, I hope they're 70 by 70. If they're 80 by 80, I could be in trouble. And we have our dice. We have our combat dice, our monster dice. And, of course, our mats, or our player mats and monster mats. They did the mash. They did the monster match. And we'll just open that up and see. So this is... So that is the turn marker. So it looks like we have Act 1 and Act 2. We got a bunch of reference cards. Apparently this game is like really brutal for references. And these look like, these could be the minions or monsters or something. Moonblade. Oh my god. Okay. We have tons of monsters here. Dragons, Hydras, Goblin King, the Gorgon, the Seer. Oh, these are the players. Duh. So these are the player mats. So we can play Gracul, and his battle rage ability. We have Eternia, who looks like some sort of caster. Seeking Bolt. We have a healer, Ulyssa, the dwarf cleric. Winkelas, the elf ranger. The Moonblade, a wood elf rogue, a shadow walk. We have a dwarf, Solian. Jiran the blue, he has a magic arrow, he's a wizard. We have a dwarf fighter as well as the 2 monsters down here. So we have our monsters. So we have a lot of stuff, and these are normally, I think, tiny epic size, so I should have sleeves for them somewhere around. That's what it is in this box. And plenty of it. So I don't know how these are all going to fit in the box. I don't know how they envisioned that. They said, here, we're going to give you a whole bunch of little thing, and look, it's a little tiny epic box, but nothing's going to fit in there. So I don't know how that's going to work. Now we have our dungeon stories. Here's our dungeon stories. Let's open that real quick. Oh my gosh. I am a mess. And we've got another. Let's open this box. Let's open this box. Don't you hate that? There it is. There's an adventure storybook. Okay, so it looks like there might be a campaign or something. Prologue, the heroes. Expansion overview. Stories and additional objectives that your party must complete before they can defeat the boss. The epic dungeon adds the challenge of 3 distinct dungeon levels as well as multiple bosses. Stories can also include adding more of a dire challenge. Just what we all need. More dire challenges. And it looks like we have more bosses. More miniatures. More cards. And more monsters, I guess. What else we got here? Open sesame. Rock, rock. Look at that nice little map in there. It is the Ugmore. Okay, now apparently I can't open this. There we are. I'm opening it off, and what do we have here? More reference cards by the looks of things. Oh, there are more players. Oh my god. Tons more players, and at least 2 more. It looks like 2 bosses. And we have, who do we have here? A Taurus, who's an elf warlock. Wow. And Glotho, the human psionic. Wow, I love psionics. Zoozyong, a panda bear. Kind of a little wow happening here. Laura Gambit, a human adventurer. Sir Gaiman. Oh, Sir Gamelin. Wow. Guardian of the Order. Well, of course. Evelyn, the Dryad Druid. Neely Songheart, the Halfling Bard. Wow, there are so many choices in this game. Wow. This game is jam-packed with goodies. I'm not sure how we're going to store this. We're going to find out. I'm going to figure this out in a minute. I'm going to go get the sleeves. I'm going to try to pack it. I don't know how that's going to work, but we're going to do our best and see what we can do here. So I promise nothing. So let's go look at let me go do this. Oh my gosh. So welcome to the unboxing of Tiny Epic Dungeons and Tiny Epic Dungeons Stories. My name, of course, is Harry Jacobs, and we just saw me unbox. This morning, I got up early, 4:30 or so. That's not unusual for me. Yesterday, I was able to do some of this taping, and now it's in the morning, and it took quite a while because it doesn't fit all in the box, especially when you sleeve. So first, let's talk about our sleeving. Sleeve Kings, 70 by 70. Those for the main cards. The cards have a really good finish on them. A little thin for my liking, but I sleeved them. And the Sleeve Kings are a nice medium weight, 0.65 microns. So a little better than penny sleeves, but not as good as the premium sleeve. So not too bad. And of course, if you're into the Sleeve King 88 by 125, those are the Tiny Epic sleeves. Those are the regular mats that you usually use in Tiny Epics. On the top, I had to get another box. Now I had to move my Meeples of Might into my Meeples of Menace in order to put all the little bits of the miniatures and all the boss monsters basically in one spot, as well as a container full of bits that have the goblins and the dice, just to keep them a little bit organized. I love organizing my games, so this is going to drive me absolutely crazy that they should have had a bigger box. And I think if we look at some of the other Tiny Epic games on my shelf, some of them do, like Tiny Epic Pals, have a little thicker box. I really don't think they thought this through when they thought, geez, how many parts can I put in a box without, making it big. And I get that. Shipping is hell. But, I would have paid a couple more bucks to get my shipping so I could store the game. So in my Tiny Epic Dungeon Stories, there's the rules. And there's most of the cards. Not all the cards. Most of the cards. Here you have your boss monsters. And we'll talk more about that when we actually take this apart. This is from the Potions and Stories. That is a Kickstarter expansion, and it adds some new goblins, two new bosses, some potions, and actual stories where you can actually interact with the boards a little bit more and interact with stories. You can add stories. And of course, here are a whole whack of tiles, and you're not going to use them all. Most games would have these as tiles, but these are little cards again in those 70 by 70 sleeves, and they're all different kinds of rooms. Again, we'll look at it a little bit more when we go to set the game up. This is just really about organization, and I'm hoping to take this on vacation, but wow, this is going to be a bit of a pain. I may move it into a different box. Now here is the item decks. Lots and lots of items. You can see the Claw of Darkness on top, and we'll talk more about them. This is highly driven by iconology, so there's all types of things here that I don't understand, and apparently there is an app that has a tutorial on it that you can run through. There are the disarms, so when you disarm traps, there's all the bits. The A and B are objective tokens. On the top, you've got the lightning bolts to keep your mana. You have, looks like we have some pentagonal type things that do different things. hearts and other markers, and we'll learn more about them. And then, of course, the not so boss monsters, so the minion monsters are on the side here. I'd like to have kept them somehow other way, but it just didn't fit. And then all the different mats. So I would say if I was going to have one criticism of this particular game, I would say that they really should have given it some thought about how the hell people who like to organize their games, like myself, were going to store this. And apparently they didn't give any real thought to that. So not to say that the quality of the game isn't there. The components are absolutely amazing. These are the deluxe components. I don't think you're going to get the deluxe components in the retail version, but I'm sure that, as Tiny Epics come every year to Kickstarter, you'll be able to pick this up again, I'm sure, or you'll be able to pick it up right from Game Games. Now, I probably should have gotten the mat, but I'm a little wishy-washy on that. I've got a box full of mats under my table here. You're seeing me show my hand going under the table here, and barely used, partly because they take up more space than they're worth. And for me, if you saw the space to see the camera, you're looking at the space. There's probably a little bit more space, and I can play with my space a little bit, by magically doing that and doing that, going right out if I want. So, but what you're seeing here is about the maximum space, and you can see right at the edge of the table there. Because the table's at a kind of a funny angle because of the space in my room. So we'll just go back down. Whee! So that is the dungeons, Tiny Epic Dungeons. And so we're going to dig through the rules. I'm going to set this up and we're going to start playing. We may play one of those scenarios just for fun. And we're going to certainly probably add the potions and a story. And we'll see how that all goes. And I think what I'm going to do is probably get a couple more rubber bands. I only have the one here right at the moment. And we'll probably have to tie this all together with one big rubber band and say, woohoo, it's organized. This is not ideal. You know what I'd love to see from Gamelin Games is a big box that you could actually store all your Tiny Epic games in, because I can tell you the boxes are small, but the games are big. And they did a really good job here, except now that I've got the deluxe tokens, they don't fit in the box, which is unfortunate, I suppose. But anyway, setting that aside, because I can feel a grump coming on, we're going to go down to the table and we're going to take a look at this setup and the components a little bit quicker. I do have to learn it, so we are going to do a first run through together, so mistakes will be made. Hopefully not too many. It seemed pretty straightforward when I looked at the One Stop Co-op and a couple of other little videos yesterday. I'm not first to the market here. As a small content creator, I don't get the luxury of being able to see prototypes very often. I do get them now and again and once in a while, and I want to thank those who take the opportunity to give a small content creator a leg up on occasion. I have been on some Kickstarters, which are kind of nice and funky when you're part of a campaign. But be that as it may, we're going to go down to the table and set this up. So I probably, just to take the little magic out of this, and I do this over a few days. So my time is limited. I'm a very busy project manager, business analyst. I work for the government. Yes, I know. You think government workers are lazy and are overpaid. I can tell you absolutely not. But I am overworked and underpaid. Be that as it may, I only get about somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour every morning to sort of do this, except for yesterday where I did this in the afternoon. But let's get down to the table, because I'm just going to keep rambling on and on and on and on. So here we are. I've laid out all the various components. Off board a little bit are some of the minion monsters, and you can see them here. And we'll be pulling them on. We'll get at least 2 minions on. Which 2 minions, we don't know. Over here we can see we have a box full of boss monsters. And the detail on these are just freaking amazing for a screen product. And of course the minis for our adventurers. Over here is our, just off screen is our timer mat. So this is Act 1. This is Act 1, and we'll be going through Act 1. And then when we're completed Act 1, assuming we kill our 2 minions and we find the room in which we can get to the boss, the lair, we will move to Act 2. Talking about boss monsters, there are a ton of boss monsters. What we do is we normally would do this. We will randomly shuffle them, and they will take the top one. And you can see from a 2-player act that you're going to have to defeat 2 minions for 1 or 2. If this was a 3-player, you defeat 3, and of course 4 for the bigger. And then again, look at all the freaking different characters that you can play. Amazing. So we're going to play a 2-player game, and we'll take a closer look at the 2 that I select, but I haven't selected them yet. And here's all the equipment. We have all kinds. Look at them all. Look at that. We have a violet cake. Now, if you look at this one here, this is actually part of a group. And if you have a part of the group, you can see if I have 2, you get +1. If you have all 3, you get another +2. So, like in RPG sets, we've got lots of equipment to choose from. If we don't like equipment, we drop them. There's plenty of cards that allow you to pick up out of the discard pile. Here are our spells. So certain groups can look at spells: Giant Strength, Fireball, Claw of Darkness. So all kinds of spells. We have our Boomy Goblins, Stabby Goblins, Spelly Goblins, Mighty Goblins, Mixie Goblins. Mixie Goblins allow you to play the potions. Then the potions are over here. So you can see this is a part of the expansion. And we're going to put this in. So that is the potion. And there are the potions that you can pick up by killing, either visiting, of course, the potion laboratory. And you can tell that by the little P up here. And then the potions. If you run out of potions during the game, you run out of potions. Tons of different locations, and we're not going to use them all, but we will use quite a few of them. These are special locations. S is for the stories adventures, so that you can actually play your stories, and these are the stories here. I think we're going to try rescue the adventurers, so I think we're going to throw that in, and if once we discover them, we have to guide them out basically by moving them along. Of course, we have our disarm our traps right there. We have our objective tokens. We have our mana tokens, for lack of a better word, our life tokens, all those types of things, our boss token. Now, mind you, in the deluxe game, the boss token is actually a boss. And, of course, we have our dice and goblins and other little things. But that is all the components that are pulled out over here. And there's a ton of components that barely fit in the box. So we're a little closer to the beginning of the game. I'm just going to shrink myself down and relegate myself to the corner for the time being. I may take myself out of the picture completely. Over here we have our boss monsters. We have our loot. We have our spells. We have our goblins. We have our minions. We have our potions. Over here is our turn tracker. Over here you can just see the flame. And this is where we're going to start with the 2-player. And as we go down the track, when you see one of these symbols, which is the sort of a beady eye and a thing, that's monster activation. And I have it on the wrong side, which is not very good. We have Act 1. So right away we started with a mistake. So here we are. We're still going to start. I'll just bring that up a little closer then. And you can see here, we're going to start. These are good monster activations. And then you'll see goblins come on. And that's what these mean here. The goblins are going to come on. Not only spawn, but they'll also be part of the what's going on in the game as we discover various rooms, such as this one here. This is the prisoner. This is the potion room, and you can see we're going to put a goblin here. One of the mechanisms, and there's more ways to lose than there is to win. Of course, the way to win is to kill the boss monster. The way to lose, of course, if you ever go and can't fit a 5th goblin on the board, and you can see there's room for 4, then we're going to lose. If we run out of, if we never reach the altar, we're going to lose. If we fail to kill 2 minions to get to the altar, we're going to lose. So there's lots of ways. This is our beginning tile. The single rule here is that we can't go more than 3 up or 3 away. So we have a 7x7 play. I don't have a mat here, which is fine because it wouldn't fit. We may have to make some adjustments to give me a little more room. So eventually we're probably going to push these up and out of the way, or maybe I'll push them over to the side eventually. That is our starting room right there. Basically our guys will be starting here, and we have Sir Lanolin, the human paladin. Now, one of the failings, or one of the things in this game that is a bit on the critical side, is learning these icons. So we're going to be struggling a little bit with these, but basically this is a magic, and it's Divine Might. It's an intellect check, so he has to roll a 4. Then he's going to take 2 focus down, and that's going to give him a +2 melee. And he has healing hands, of course, and then he starts off with a hammer. Now, of course, like any good crawler, you will get loot and you may replace, and you can have room for basically 2 hands, armor, 2 trinkets, and 2 spells, and 2 potions, because that is part of the new rule. You won't see that here. And here we have a Taurus, and he's a warlock. I love warlock. He has life steal. So these little icon says this is a monster or a person. From a monster, he has to do an intellect check of 5, and then he is going to either steal a life or on a monster, or he's going to give a life to a player. So he's a bit of a healer. Both of these our characters have some healing, and he'll use some focus for that as well. So that is our 2 characters. And there we are. And we'll start with those 2. Here we have our various and assorted minions. And the minions are the more powerful monster. And we're going to have 2 of them in the game. So we'll just, what we're going to do is we're going to take this and just shuffle that up. And we're going to put them we'll just leave them here for the time being. Actually, we're going to take 2 of them. We'll take this one and this one. We don't know what they are. And we'll put the rest back. I want to show you that this is the beginning. As you know, that's where we're going to begin. This is the altar. That'll go somewhere in the bottom of the deck. This is the prisoner, and this is the potions. So, and they're going to go somewhere in the middle of the deck. And we're going to now show you how to create the dungeon deck. And that's what we're going to do first. And then we'll be ready to play. So typically we wouldn't be taking this much time to go through it, as I would set it up solo. It would be just bang, 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 bang. I would say this is not a 555 game, and a 555 game I define as 5 minutes to set up, 5 minutes to learn, and 5 minutes to tear down. I suspect that this is actually going to be 5 or 6 minutes, depending on your organization, to set up. I had everything sorted out, so I would have been able to set this up fairly quickly. The game is not a 5-minute game to learn. The iconology is like brutal, and you can see it all here, right here. Now I'll show that a little closer. I'll cut a picture in, and I'm still trying to see the itty bitty symbols. So I'm having a little trouble because, as you know, I complain about my cataracts. And so one of the things I really want to complain about, or not so happy about, again, I get the PDFs, but reading this, oh my God, jeez. Dudes, I know it's a small box, but there are people like me who can't see very well, but that's okay. One of the first things we do put on our stairs actually is a altar token. And we'll explain about altar tokens as we play. And the first one goes there, and the other 2, as you saw, go on the minion over here. Now we're going to create our deck. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to shuffle up our runes deck, and we are going to draw off the top of these. And I believe in the rules, if I've read this correctly, we are going to pick up 9 cards. If you can read that, you're better than I am. One of the complaints I have in a lot of these games is this brown and washed out brown and black. I find that very difficult to read. But, however, we are going to take, and that is our deck A. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our 2 encounter cards, and we're going to add 2 more, and we're going to shuffle them up in a minute. Then what we're going to do is take our room key, and we're going to put 3 more, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to put that in with that, and we're going to shuffle that up. So this is A, this is B, and this is C. The rest of these back into the box. I suppose if we're playing more, and the more players you play, actually, the more the middle deck actually gets populated. So we have draw cards from the room deck based on the hero count, 9 cards. Draw 1 card per hero from the encounter deck and 3 per hero from the room deck. 3 per hero. So I should actually have more in this deck, so I almost made a mistake. So just a slight adjustment. I almost made a mistake. What I'm going to do is put these back. Okay, we're going to put our 2 encounter cards back in. And what we need is actually 3 per player. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That makes the deck. And what happens is at the higher player counts will remove from that deck, which is the 9 count. So if you were playing with 3 players, it would be 7, and here's 5, and then they would be added. You'd actually have more in the middle deck. What we're going to do is we'll take our that, and we're going to shuffle them up. And that, we don't know where the layer is, and that is C, and we're just going to put that over there. This is our B deck, and we're going to shuffle our B deck up really, really well. And what we're going to do is go 1, 2, just like this. Hopefully we get a good distribution. We do. We're going to take that and we're going to shuffle them. And then what it says is close to the middle, dividing this up. So we're going to put the 2 special cards, our potion room and our story room, in here. So that gives us a few more rooms than you would with a normal game. And we'll shuffle those up. And we will now shuffle up our 9 rooms here. And we are ready to go! Woo-hoo! I have been so looking forward to this game that I'm just excited. And we'll try to keep this as sane as we can. We've got more than enough room to go this way. I'm a little worried about that, but we do have some room to play. I can push these up for 1, and what I might do is we can actually, if we have to, move these over to here at some point. So here are our 2 characters, as you can see. Very well detailed. I'm not a painter, but I appreciate some minis. Here, and our altar marker is there, which is wonderful. And our player mats are here. Everything is ready to go. We are ready to rock and roll. So let's get down. Let's start playing. So we're going to try to interpret the rules as best we can as we go along. And the first thing we're going to do right here is to lay out 4 tiles. 2, 3. And you can see they have doors on them. Ooh, so we know we're not going to have enough space here, but that's okay. We will adjust in a moment. So, but that is the first thing we're going to do. And so we're going to have to decide who goes first. And I'm thinking Solanin will go first. After all, he is our paladin. He's got a little healing. He's got a little magic. He has a movement of 3, a shield of 5. He uses 3 red dice. He only has not much dexterity, and he can use a little bit of the of magic. So, but he's not as intelligent, of course, as our life-stealing warlock. So Sir Lannon here is going to move. He has 3 movement. I think he's going to move here first. So the first thing to do is 1. He's going to turn this over. And of course he's going to get a goblin. We're going to be able to search here. And if we can search for a 5 and use -4, we can actually put the lamp up, the flame up 2, which he doesn't really need to do right away. But the first thing he is going to do is, and it's a 4-way room, which is nice. So we'll actually just do this. 1, 2, and 3. Sir Lannon is here. The first goblin is going to appear right here. When you get a goblin, that's it. Your game is over, even though he has 3 movement. We will go to our goblin deck, and we have a Boomy goblin, and he does lose one life when you go into the room. That is that little sign right at the bottom here. I can't show it to you. I will later maybe, but right there, when you turn that room, he takes a damage. And the Boomy goblin is a 1, a 4. And he is a +1 on attack. But I think, and what we do is we put it there. Remember, if we ever get more than 4 goblins on this board, we are dead. We are going to take Sir Lannon, and of course he is going to fight. He has a shield of a 5. So we're going to do our best to interpret the rules. So what's going to happen is he's going to attack with 3 dice, and we're going to roll that dice here. That is the monster dice. If we do not win, we are going to counterattack. And when we counterattack, it's a +1 to his melee. And so what would happen is we would add +1 to that dice. If that +1 is with the dice is greater than the 5 shields, of course, then we are going to have a successful strike. So we are going to roll our dice. So we have a 5. And it only takes 4, as you can see. Right there, 4. And we have 2 +1s. Whoops, I can show you that. With 4. So with 4, which we could add to our focus or our mana. We can't use the term mana, of course, because that's a magic term. So we really don't have any use for these dice. We do defeat our Boomy Goblin. And the Boomy Goblin gives us a loot or a spell. And so I think what's going to happen is we are going to take a loot. We're just going to come over to here and take that's a spell. Where's our loot? Our loot. And maybe we'll get something interesting. Oh, we have a Claw of the Panther. Not particularly useful for either of our characters, because it is a +1 to a dexterity type rolls. So that would be more like a thief. Not going to helpful. So he's just going to put that into the loot pile. And that is the end of the turn. We will tick down. Oh, there we are. The enemy would activate. There's no enemies because we killed our Boomy Goblin. There's no sense searching here at this point. We can do that at any point. But seeing that we just started, we can do that. So we move, we can do 1 heroic action, and then there's some free actions. And those are the types of things that we have. So a heroic action, if we were to use it, was, of course, to attack. Another heroic thing that we could do would be search in this room, but we don't need to do that at this point. And we can only do 1 heroic action. So it is now our Warlock's turn. Now, one of the things, as you know, in D&D, we really don't want to split off our characters too much, but there's no sense going through the same rooms again. So we're going to take our Warlock and we're going to move maybe one space down here. So we're going to move here. So that's his first move out of 3. So you can see the alignment here. So you can see we have found some sort of cauldron here. And this is a skill check for intelligence. And if we win, if you look at that, if we win, whoops, if you look at that and we win, we can spend 2 of our focus to get a spell. And then if we fail, we're going to lose a time. We're going to lose a time anyway. And I don't think we want to lose that. We could take a chance maybe. But let's close this off like that. He is going to do his heroic action. And he can only do 1 heroic action. But I don't know whether I want to come back to do that or do that now. You only have so many turns to find the 2 minions. And there it is right there. So we really should be keep moving on. And we can only do 1 heroic action per turn. And that search is an heroic action. And if we move, that means we can't fight. I think what we're going to do is we're going to move on. And I think I like this rotation better. At this point, we're just going to move these down just a little bit. Actually, we'll move these up a little bit here. I'll move them up. And we're gonna probably have to move out some of these eventually. So we're going to move over this way. Oh, there we go. So we have looks like a room and there's and I'll just bring that room up so you can see it. You can see there's only 1 entrance. We are going to get a goblin. He is going to take a damage. And he has a free action of going down stairs. We don't want to go down the stairs particularly. We're not going down anywhere. I'm not sure what that symbol is. Let's go look that symbol up. After looking that up, this is a portal. So this is like a secret stairway. We can go anywhere we want, which is nice. There we go. We do get a goblin, so we're going to go over to here. We are going to get our goblin here. We are going to turn our goblin over, and we have another boomy goblin. And he's going to go into the 1 spot. It's the same boomy goblin. We are going to roll our intelligence, and we are going to use our life steal. And our life steal says that we are going to roll our dice. We're going to have to have 5 or more. And then we have to spend 3 focus to lose that 1 hit point. So we're going to have 5 or more. If we do 5 or more, we'll be able to do 1 damage to him for 3 focus. So here we are. We're going to roll 5. We are. We have to roll 5 or more. Certainly, we've passed. There we are. So what's going to happen is we've passed our life steal test. We are going to use 3, 1, 2, 3 to do 1 damage to our boomy goblin. And then what happens is that we are going to actually get 4 back. 1, 2, 3, 4 because we're not using those dice. We have killed our boomy goblin. And then, if we've killed the goblin, we get our choice of a spell or a piece of equipment. That's a tough one to decide at this point. He's got good intelligence, but I wonder if a piece of equipment would be better to try to get some armor on them. So let's get try to get a piece of equipment. Ha! And we have a spiked barrier. It is a +1 for melee if he's doing a melee. So what he's going to do is he's just going to put it in the pile because there'll be plenty of opportunities to get this out of discard pile, and then we may be able to give it to Sir Lanolin, but then we would lose our healing hands ability. But we'll see what happens. But that is the end of the second turn. We are actually going to add the goblin comes in at the stairs this time. So we certainly want an opportunity to perhaps kill this goblin, because again, the goblins get power also based on the number of goblins. So if we had 2 goblins on here, his power all of a sudden goes up. So we want to make sure we kill the goblin. It is Sir Lanolin's turn. Though I think we only get 1 heroic action, as I said. So he's going to come across. So we're going to come across. Oh, I don't want to stop there particularly. I'd like to explore a little bit more and we'll take a chance. So we're going to come across for 1 movement. And there's the goblin that's going to stop us. That means he's going to get a +2. So he's going to kill a goblin. The goblin here is number 2. Well, we forgot to do this goblin. Goblin number 1 is a pokey goblin. Goblin number 2 now is a shooty goblin. So he's going to go off and he's going to see how this room aligns. There's no door that way, so I think what we're going to do is maybe align it this way a little bit, because there's no sense going here at this point. Okay, so we're going to do the shooty goblin. As a free action, he can spend 4 too. But the first thing he's doing is goes after the boomy goblin. The boomy goblin has 5/2 movement, or the shooty goblin, I should say. So let us roll our dice. Again, we have Sir Alan. He's going to go after our 3 strength. We have to beat 5 or more. Not a problem. We have 5. Of course, that is going to push our time up an extra time. So that's going to happen at the counterattack phase if he's still alive. However, he is not. We have killed him with our 5. Thankfully. And then we are going to then be able to pull this off. And at this point, let's see what it says. Oh, there we are. We've defeated him. We can take a loot or get 5 focus. We don't need 5 focus at all. So we're going to go for the loot. Well, we have a studded jerkin. The studded jerkin in melee will give us a +1 in our advance, so certainly we're going to want to take that. Our boomy goblin is going to go away. And what is going to happen now is, of course, we are going to go down 1. He is going to activate. Now, the rules of activation is he is going to go to the closest person. 1, 2, 1, 2. I like the idea that I have a bit more shielding now. And that is what this means. So when it activates, when you see the activation down here, it basically says, I'm going to go. I'm going to run to the a party member who is closest, and then he's going to lose 1 heart per goblin. There is only 1 goblin here, so he's going to go run, and he's going to do a damage to our and I forgot to take a damage for that room. There we go. So when you enter this room, of course, I should have taken a damage, and we've taken a damage from the goblin that's here. We are now on to the wizard's turn, or the warlock's turn. So we're ready for our wizard's turn. He's going to have to come back this way. Remember, we're going to have to get some strength. The minions will get out here, and they will bite our butts if we don't do a little better job here. So we are now going to move 1. Oh, and I should have put out, again, let's get these doors here. I think we'll continue 1, 2, maybe 3. I'd like to get a spell, though. Wow, I could spend 2 and get a spell if I search here, but I only get 1 heroic action, which means even if I continue the move, we would have to stop and not be able to fight because we only get 1 heroic action per turn. So I just wanted to confirm. I took a quick look. Yes, if I wanted to come here and do that, that would end my turn. I really want to find a minion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we won't have a minion out yet. So let's get a couple more on the board. Remember, we put 9 in the top. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've got at least 1 or 2 more before we're going to get there. So we're going to go 1, 2, and we're going to turn over this for 3. And it is a spider web check. We're going to immediately, if we lose our check, we will lose 2 life. So, but we will be able to disarm this chap with strength. Unfortunately, he does not have a lot of strength. But we first have to stop. And he's going to use his intelligence. We actually don't need the extra dice. He's going to roll his 3 dice on intelligence. He needs a 7, which he does not have at this point. Whew. So he's going to go 1, 2 to manipulate this die down 2 to a 2. So that's a +2. So that gives him 6. He's going to manipulate this down for another +2. To give him 8, which would let him pass this test. He would need strength to disarm. So he cannot disarm that trap at this point. We are going to go down 1. Here we go. It is our Sir Lanland's turn. Does he want to kill? Oh my God! This is the balance. I mean, this is ticking down. I've got to find the 2 minions before the skull here. That is a number. I'll just push that out. But he could get another piece of loot. Or, plus he can look at a tile. So let's go do that. So we're going to do the Pokey Goblin. The Pokey Goblin has a 6. So we're going to roll all our dice. On a melee, he's got a +1. So the Pokey Goblin's got to get a 6, which is pretty hard. There's got a 5. But 5, I've actually got my 5 here on a melee attack, plus the 1 here on a melee attacks, +1. I have 6, so he's not going to hit me. I need a 6. I have a 3. A 4 plus a 2 gives me the 6. I have a +1 that gives me 2 of these, but I don't need them. So we have killed our Pokey Goblin. Yay! So half the battle in this game is just interpreting these things, or these icons. So let's just take a quick closer look. 3 movement. He's got 6 shield. I had to match it, which we did. And it says here he's +1 for every other goblin. And here it is. If I win and I kill the goblin, I can get a loot and then turn over a tile. So let's just do that. So we're going to take a loot. And we have a longbow of the panther, which is not particularly helpful for us. But we do get to turn over a room. And I'll think, let's just turn this room over. There we are. We have found our prisoners. That is wonderful. So we are into the second batch. And it's right close to the entrance. So this is super amazing. And I think what we'll try to do, so we don't have to come back, is to turn it this way. If not, we'll have to come back through this, and we'll be able to guide these through the various ways of getting out. So here is the setup, which we've put that in. And so the objective, when the prisoner room is revealed, place the objective token on it. This represents the prisoners that you can safely escort to the entrance. At the end of your turn, before moving the torch, you may move the prisoners up to 2 rooms on a pathway toward you. The prisoners cannot enter a room with an enemy or move if an enemy is in their room. Enemies ignore prisoners when moving. So in this case, it is the end. Before we move the torch, so I'm going to move them towards me. Now we're going to move our torch. We are going to put a goblin here. That's what that little sign says right there. We're going to pull another goblin. It's another stabby goblin. And he is going to allow us to either gain 3 life or take a 3 heart, 3 life or a item. Nobody was in the room with him, so he's good. It is our turn to move our Sir Lanlin. Though he does get a heroic action, but that I should have thought of that. No, that wouldn't have happened. So he's going to move 1, 2. Stop his turn there. And he's going to take care of the stabby goblin. So we're going to roll our dice. And we have to have a 4 for our stabby. There's our 6. We have plenty of mana here. So we have some divine might. So I think what he's doing, one of the things he's going to do, he's got some free actions. He has killed a stabby goblin. So for the stabby goblin, he can have 3 life or take a loot. I'm going to take a loot because I have so much of this here. What I'm going to do is use as a free action. I'm going to have to do an intelligence test of 4 though. So he's going to take, and he only has 2 intelligence. So he's going to do an intelligence test of 4. Oh, that's for divine might, so he doesn't need to do that. Oh, I was thinking of this as a free action. That's right. So as a free action, which I think I can do at any time. So I can do a free action at any time. So I'm going to use a healing hand. So I'm going to take 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to raise one guy in any place. I think it's in the same room here. It's hard to see. Holy cow. No, I don't need line of sight, but he has to be within 1. So basically, I think I've cheated here. We have too. So what we're going to do is just make a little change here. I didn't orientate the room correctly, so we're going to make a change. We're going to There it is. And that means that that's still there, right? That's okay. So everything is okay at this point. We just had to do a little rearrangement, so we're actually still here. It didn't affect, because nothing else was on the board, so it didn't really affect. You can see I made a mistake in alignment. That's okay. I killed the pokey goblin, and we're just going to move some of these and over to the side here. Oh, as I said, we were going to have to move. There we go. So we are going to, at this point in time, look at our pokey goblin. And we don't need 3 life. but I used 2 to do his healing hands. So he did that 1, 2, and we're in line of sight for 1 here, so he can spend 2 more, 1, 2, heal him up to full health, and then the extra 6 he can go right back up to his 1, 2, right back up to his maximum, because you're allowed to do that. And then we're going to look at this. I'm going to take a loot instead of the 3 life, so we'll take a loot. And we have the vestment of a scarab. This will benefit the wizard. So we're going to just put that into the pile over here. We have a discard pile up here, just off to the side. And hopefully we'll find something that will allow us to get a discard. At the end of the turn, before we move our torch, we are going to taunt as a free action. As per our card, 2 rooms towards me. We move them to the stairs. We have successfully completed. We can move our torch up or back 3. 1, 2, 3. We have just saved the day. So that was an advantage to us. Of course, at this point in time, we're going to have to then move our torch back, activate any goblins that are in the area. That is it. We're done this turn. Okay, it is our wizard, who certainly can go this way or come around and go back that way. With 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 there, we are now pretty close to probably putting on getting our a minion somewhere. So we want to keep exploring. I think what we're going to do is come around. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. We could always move again. So I'm going to go 1. I can use 3. So I got a free action. So here's the 3 action. This is what we're looking for. So I can use this as a free action to spend 3. I can use this as a free action to spend 3 focus to pick up a spell or loot. So we're going to come over here. We're going to spend our 3 focus. Whoops. Sorry, I spent 1, 2, 3. So I moved the wrong focus. We've only used this once, so actually we're right there. So what we're going to do is 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to spend 4 or 3. Sorry, we were on 6. And then we're going to pick up this vestment of the scarab. That's going to give us, on an intelligence test, a +1. And if we cast a spell, we're going to get a +1 shield. So there we are. We have the vestment of the scarab. And we have the studded of the bear. Okay. We're certainly going to put a card there. That is his first move. That was a free action. We're going to come across here. We found our first minion. There we go. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put an altar on, because that's where the altar is. We found our minion. I don't know what minion it is, but I'm sure it's not going to be a good thing for us. So remember, we have 3 and 3, so we're good. We can go 1 more up. So just for now, we may have to readjust things as we go. We'll put that up there. And we will move our potions, because we have not found our potion room. We'll move that just over there. And we will pull that dungeon room there. Now remember, we can only go 3, so that is our max up. We can still go 1 more row over here and 2 more rows over here. We are going to pull a minion. And we have this skeleton. So, and he has a 8 health. And when he activates, he's going to move to something in the line of sight, by the looks of it. And he's going to do -2 health and -3 focus. So we're going to certainly want to fight our skeleton. Let's just put our skeleton over here for now. And we're going to want a health marker for our skeleton. These are little itty-bitty health markers. So one of the things I really don't like about this, as I love this game, so far I'm really liking it, But the problem being is they have itty bitty, and he's off camera. So we're going to have to pull him down. Let's pull him over to the side here so we can see him. He's actually in this room. So what we'll do is do this here. Oh yeah, we got our skeleton. So we are going to fight our skeleton. Our first heroic move is to fight. Now the skeleton has a 4 shield, so not too bad. He's going to respond with a +2 on melee. Since I'm not going to probably melee, I could with a dagger, but I'm probably going to use a life steal as an attack. But that is only going to chip him down -1, so that is not going to be, because I don't have a weapon to give me more. Well, actually, I could. This is only -1. I could try to melee him with my dagger, but I'm -1. I have to do a 4. But I think what we're going to do is do a stab on him with a... I only get 2 dice. So let's go do that. Okay, so we're going to take a stab. We're going to need to do a 4, so he's not particularly strong, but he could be devastating to us because he's going to be a +2 on the melee, and my shield is a 5. So let's just see what we got here. So we have a 5. So that is not particularly helpful. I could use a focus. So we know we've done at least 1 damage to him, but he has also done a 2 damage to me, unless I can mitigate it in some way. Oh, I have a plus. Oh, wait, I have a +1. Oh, if I cast a spell, which I didn't cast a spell, I've done a dagger attack. Anyway, so what is going to happen is that I have 5, so I've done 1 damage to him. I could try to reduce this to a 4. That doesn't help me. So that's not going to really help me at all. I could reduce it to a 4 to get the... Reduce 2 to get take it down 1, but I only get 1 back. So I've done 1 damage only against his 2 damage back to me because he's +2, so 5 +2. Now I'm going to, as a free action, and he doesn't look like he has... Oh yeah, he gets +3 on the casting, but I get a +1 here. So we're going to do our we're going to do a cast, and we're going to try to do a life steal. Hopefully this will work out and I don't lose a ton of health that way. But I am +1 and I'm a +1 life, so we only need a 5 to hit, and then we have to use 3, which we do have. 1, 2, and that will leave us 0 to drain a life. So here's the dilemma. So I admit, I basically missed. I need a +1 somewhere. Whoops. I need a +1, and if I succeed, I can use 3. So I've basically tried the lifesteal. I do get these 2. I only have enough room to take it down to a 3, and that doesn't give me anything. So the best I'm going to be able to do is I failed miserably. So that doesn't cost me anything. I'm going to gain back 1, 2, and I'm going to gain back a life. However, the counterattack is 4 because I used magic. If we looked over here on the stabby, he is +3, so that's 7. I'm going to take 2 more hits. That is the end of his turn. Unfortunately, he can't do anything else, and time is ticked down. Whew, that is a tough fight. We're going to come across here. So the first move is we're moving into our trap. I don't want to disarm it because I want to keep moving here, or else I'm going to wind up getting my wizard killed perhaps. So, because if he activates, we are going to be into trouble. So we have a We need a 7. We have a 4. We got a +1. We don't need to roll that. So we're going to have to spend 2 focus, 1, 2, to move this down to a +2 to give me that 8. And then that gives me 1 back. We're going to move for 2. We're going to come over here for 3. And then we're going to do then we're going to do our fight. So as we pick up here, our Sir Lanolin is going to take a swipe. He's got +1 shield. He's got 3 dice. Wow, I don't know if this looks really, really good for Sir Lanolin. He has a free action of lay on hands too, so he may have to do that as well. But so we have a 4 for the skeleton. We have a +1. There's 5. Another +1. And we have a 5 plus the skeleton is a 6. And we have a 6 because of that. So we actually can do 2 damage to him. So that's what he's going to do. He's going to do 2 damage to our skeleton. 1, 2. And then he is going to use his lay on hands. It's a free action. 1, 2 to heal the warlock. At this point, another goblin comes onto the center tile. And it is a stabby goblin. And he will move 4. He doesn't activate at this point. So this is where we're going to start to get into trouble, because they're going to activate. This turn we have... So he's going to use his intelligence for a lifesteal, eh? See, I'm thinking now with lifesteal, I almost think that is exactly what that is a lifesteal. Now I could try a dagger, but that would almost be impossible to hit. So he's going to cast a spell. He's going to do his lifesteal. He needs a 5. He's got a 6. He has a 4. He's got a 1. And we're not going to kill him. So what's going to happen is we have a 6. So we've passed. We're going to have to use 3, 1, 2, 3 to do 1 damage to our skeleton. Then we are going to get 3 back. 1, 2, 3. And because it's a life steal, we're going to steal 1 of his life. And then time, and you can see that right there, because we didn't kill him, that time is going to go down. And that means he is going to activate, which means everybody in the room is going to take 3, 1, 2, 3, and minus 2 life. 1, 2, 1, 2. That is my interpretation of how that works. And of course, at this point in time, we are going to have to move our goblin would activate. Our goblin activates, and he is going to move. He's a stabby. He moves 4 to the closest. 1, 2. It puts him into this room. And of course, when he does that, he's going to do -1 for each goblin +1. So he's just going to move to the closest. I think that's how that works, because it says there is a slash, which means usually it means either or. So he's going to move to the closest. And now it comes to our turn. So we're going to ever fleeting down to the end. And we have not found our other minion, which is not a good thing. We're going to come back to our... He has no focus whatsoever. He's going to do a melee. We have a 5, which is enough to do 1 damage. The skeleton does not have enough. He rolled a 4. He could do 1 damage to the skeleton. Unless we can turn that into a +2 somehow, and I don't have 2. So there's no way of doing that. Now the skeleton is not going to activate. Okay. So he is going to... That's all he can do. He can do 1 damage. So our skeleton is down to basically, I think, 2 life. Because he does 1 damage, and he can use these for 2. 1, 2. And that is the end of his turn. Okay, we tick down. We get another goblin on the board. They're just popping in all over the place now. And this is a spelly goblin. Ooh. We come back to our warlock. Our warlock is going to now take a shot at our skeleton. He needs 5. There's his 5. You can see time has passed again. We're having not a good roll there. He has to spend 3, which I don't have. I've got my dice here, which was give me 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So then I can basically do 1 life steal. However, that breaks. Now, if I interpret this right, if time goes up, that means that he's going to activate. So if we let that activate, basically he's going to do 2 damage. He's going to steal all the focus that everybody has, and he's going to do 2 damage to everybody. Yeah. 1, 2. 1, 2. The goblin's going to activate. There's 2 goblins on the board. So actually he's going to do 2 more damage. 1, 2. 1, 2. We're both down to 1. And then these guys are going to move. The other goblin is going to move 3. 1, 2, 3. And everybody's in the same room. I would say that we are in a big, dire trouble. We come back to Sir Lanolin. We are getting close to this skull, which means we're going to lose. Sir Lanolin now is going to go after the skeleton. Hopefully we can get some focus. So there we are. We have the 4. He's got a 5, which isn't going to do anything. I've got to do a +1 damage. There's the +1 damage right there. It gives me 5, which means I can do 1 damage to our skeleton, which means we finally kill him. He dies a death. He can put up 3. 1, 2, 3. He can use 2 for lay on hands. 1, 2. He's going to use his warlock. Bang. The skeleton is dead. Well, we killed the skeleton, but as far as I know, there is no particular reward for killing this skeleton. So we'll just put that there. We tick down. It is now our warlock's turn. The warlock's turn is going to take a life steal. Now the goblins get +1, so hopefully the goblins won't hurt him. He's going to go after the stabby goblin. Problem is, he has a 4 and a 4. He does not do enough to do damage. Oh, he's doing his life steal. The problem is, he cannot do a life steal because he has no way of focusing this. That really blows. So, the best he can do at this point is we're going to tick down a time. We're going to get our 3rd goblin onto our board, which is the mighty goblin. We are nowhere ready to do this. You can see how badly this went for us. And he gets 3. 1, 2, 3. He tried to do his life steal, couldn't. Nobody's activated. We got a goblin on here. It is now Sir Lanlin's turn. He's got almost nothing. Most of these goblins are going to do 3 damage if they attack because they're +3. So stabby goblin is basically most are going to do, depending on who it is, ouch, on their counter dice. So hopefully we're going to go low. He's going to go after Okay, doesn't really matter. Who's going to give him some loot, actually? Or, oh. We're all going to give some, oh, 5 focus. That might be a good one, too. I think he's going to go after the Spelly Goblin. Okay, so he's going after the Spelly Goblin, number 2. Oh, well, Spelly Goblin is a 5. He can do a 6. So we're going to kill the Spelly Goblin. We've got, and you can see we have our time goes down again. Oh my God. He's going to kill the Spelly Goblin. He is going to then take a loot, as you can see there, and he's going to get 5 focus. 1, 2, 3, 4. He can't have 5. And then he is going to take a loot. Maybe it'll be something interesting. It is a Elven chain. So it's just going to give him +1 all the time. So he's going to drop his studded jerkin for the Elven chain. And then he's going to get his 5 focus. He's going to use his lay on hands for himself. So he's going to use 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And he's going to use the lay on hands again. 1, 2. There we go. But he has all these. So he has 6. So we already maxed out. So he's good. That's the end of his turn. Unfortunately, this went down, which means everybody's going to activate. So the first thing we're going to do, starting with number 2, is he's going to attack. So what happens is he's going to get he's going to 1 for every goblin. So he's going to do 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then this goblin's going to move 1. The problem is now we've got down to our end of our track, so we have lost the game. There is no way to get this back. I don't even know if the other altar is on there. Taking a look, there's some potions. So we didn't even have. It must be here somewhere. Where is it? Should be another goblin in here somewhere. So I've revealed all the tiles that were upside down, and you can see right up here is where the other temple would have been. If we had been able to defeat the skeleton, come up this way, we would have been able to possibly have got the last minion out, maybe defeated the last minion. We had the skeleton. If we looked at whatever the last minion was, then that would have been a dungeon crawler. Yuck. I don't know if we would have survived that or not. So let's go up and take some final thoughts here and see what we thought about this game. So here we are. We're going to talk about final thoughts for a tiny epic dungeons behind us. You can see it. As you saw, I had lost. Did I play that optimally? Maybe I didn't pick the right pair of characters. Obviously, the Warlock and the Paladin didn't do very good. I should have taken a little more time to perhaps find some equipment, which we didn't really find any equipment. I saw one playthrough, and he had like a stack of equipment, he had a stack of equipment like this laying on the table, and I got like some jerkins. So I didn't do as well as I thought. I certainly only came across one trap, and if I could have disarmed some traps, which I didn't, so the luck was against me, obviously. So all in all, though, the game was pretty easy to set up. There's quite a few decks here. There's a lot in the box. The rules were pretty simple. I think you're going to have to watch a video. There's a Dized, I think, is the name of the app, and you can look at the app and get a sense of how to play. Unfortunately, the app only covers the basic game, so lifesteal, I'm not quite sure how that lifesteal actually worked at the end of the day. I think I decided that when you're going to steal a life, you're going to give somebody a life, which is what all lifesteal's about. So I think I interpreted it correctly towards the end of the game. I'm certainly going to try this again. I'm certainly going to take this with me and explore it more. I'm going on a cruise, as you know, so we're going to explore this more on the cruise. So rules-wise, I'd like to say that it is not as light in the rules as I would like. I think once you play it, it does make sense. It really does. It's not hard. It's just a little bit iconology driven, which makes it difficult to maybe try to interpret this. But once you get going, it's not horrible. You're just going to be looking at this 87 times. Components, I have the Deluxified edition, which means I have all the wooden components. Absolutely wonderful. I think in the regular game for the boss monsters, I bought the boss monster pack, but basically you're just going to get this token there. We played with the party, we're successful. I don't know if that didn't really cost us any time whatsoever. In fact, it gained back time, and we lost all the time, as I said, on these dice rolls. I don't think this is the weakest entry into the Tiny Epic market. I think my favorite is still Galaxies, followed closely by Zombies. I think I would rate this third in my Tiny Epic collection, and I have everyone but Western. I just don't care for Western-themed games. But other than I did play Great Western Trail, which was quite good, and I actually won for some strange reason. But that is what this game's all about. Again, I think this is probably tied with Tiny Epic Quests in terms of, say, sort of my favorite, well below the Galaxies and Zombie. But that is all I'm going to say about this game. It didn't go well for me. I cried. What can I tell you? We shall talk to you later. If you like what you see, hit the like button. Subscribe. Get notifications. Really appreciate you watching, and we will talk to you later.